What's up, everybody? Coach Keith here. I wanted to talk about golf course architecture a little bit today, and more importantly, like distance and length of golf courses, because I have a lot of students who don't really understand that just because a hole's longer doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Especially high level players, like, oh, that course is only 6,500 yards, so it's not a good golf course, right? And I'm a big fan of really well designed golf courses. But in Southern California here, a lot of my students don't like to play Brookside number 2, or they'll play a course like Goose Creek, which I think is phenomenal. We're going to take a look at today. But they want to play it, from the back tees because it's almost 7,000 yards. And Goose Creek's an interesting example because from the tips on the card, I believe it's the number 4 tees they call it. It's just a little bit over 6,500 yards, but they've added 500 yards to some other holes because they have a lot of tournaments out there, like California Open qualifiers, U.S. Open qualifier, Senior Open qualifiers, things like that. So they try to make it a 7,000-yard golf course. And I want to kind of show you guys why just adding length to the holes doesn't make it a better golf course. In fact, I feel personally that it's not even anywhere near as good of a golf course from 7,000 yards as it is 6,500 yards. And I understand why they're doing it, because when you got some of the world's best players, playing qualifiers and things out there, you have to increase the difficulty. But by increasing the difficulty, it doesn't necessarily make the course better. It just makes it harder. So I'm using Decade here, which is a phenomenal app. I think Scott Fawcett's done a great job with this. I use it with a lot of my better players to keep their statistics. I think it's a really good course management system. It works really, really well. I use it myself. I also like the Golf Metrics app by Professor Mark Brody just for stat tracking. But I think if you're going to be a high-level player, Decade is definitely the way to go. And one of the coolest things about it is this driver target map here. So I'd click on this, and then you can just type in the course you're looking for, and it should already be in here for me. Cool, there's Goose Creek. Click on that. So we'll be looking at a few holes here, but just so you can see, like, my driver target distance, the longest target's going to be 300 yards, which is a lot longer than I hit it, but we'll just just to give you a comparison of what we're looking at. And then the second driver target distance is 270, it's 60 yards wide there. And then the third target distance is 240, and that's 50 yards there. So I'm just going to go through here because I want to look at a few holes. We're going to look at hole number 3, hole number 4, and we'll look at hole number 15 also. But 15's actual tee box is usually right here. So I'll just show you guys what we're looking at here. So we don't need to look at hole number 1. Pretty straightforward, par 3, number 2. So hole number 3 here. If we're looking at the tee shots, okay, so this is one of the holes they've extended and put another tee on. So we're looking at this hole. Remember, the farthest dot out is 300-yard carry. So this is from the normal back tee, the number 4 tee here. So that's 65 yards wide is the white line on this third dot out here, right? This is a position. So if you fly it close to 300 yards, you have no problem flying this bunker. But if you hit it too far right, it's going to bring this hazard over here to the right into play. So you have to adjust your target line quite a bit over here to the left, and that brings the hazard on the left into play. And if you don't hit a great drive, you could still hit it in the hazard on the right. So it's a really pretty difficult tee shot from that normal tee. And then the guys that carry it about 270, which is his second marker here in the middle of the fairway, which at 270 is probably about an average carry distance for a really good low handicap, collegiate, elite junior player, that barely gets you over this bunker. So you have to hit a really good one to carry the bunker. And if you hit it too far right, you can bring this hazard on the right-hand side into play again. So you still have to adjust your target to be a little, pretty much left edge of that bunker. And if you don't hit it solid, you could easily end up in this fairway bunker. And then the people that fly about 240, that bunker's definitely in play. We're going to have to lay up out here to the right. Okay, so that's kind of, it brings a lot of decisions into this tee shot. You have to really think about where you're going to hit this. Are you going to try and challenge the bunker? So the way I look at what a good hole is to me is kind of risk reward, right? I can easily just kind of lay up out here to the right, if you're a really good player, hit a 2-iron or 3-wood off the tee and have, somewhere, if we look at approach shots from each one of these distances down on the bottom left here, if you hit the 300-yard drive, wherever it lands, you got 68 yards to the green, which is, it's going to roll out too, so you got a nice little pitch shot on there. Or if you just lay up out to the right, the shortest tee shot, hitting about 240 carry, we have 145 yards into that green with a little bit tougher angle. It's not a horrible angle, and angle from that distance, you're not worried so much about your angles. But I know this green has kind of like a turtle shell shape to it, so it does make it a little more difficult. And the difference between a 145-yard approach shot from the fairway and a 68-yard approach shot from the fairway is pretty significant as far as strokes gained go. So again, you can lay up out here to the right with an easy tee shot, but then the challenge will be on the second shot. Or you can risk, challenging that bunker, challenging the hazard on the right, and give yourself a really good look at birdie. So now we'll scoot back a little bit, and they've moved and added another tee box back here, right? So let me zoom in just so I can see. So they moved this tee box just back here by the cart path, like it's right in here. Move this back a little more. I don't think these trees are there anymore, obviously. It might be a little more to the right, but you get the right idea. So now, when we move to the 300-yard carry player, this guy can barely carry that bunker, right? So, and we're talking 290, 300-yard carry to carry that bunker from that back tee. He could aim a little bit left of the bunker, but there's not a lot of space there. He's basically only got, remember the white lines are 65-yard width. He's only got, maybe 40 yards from the right edge of that bunker, or left edge of that bunker to the hazard on the left. And that's assuming he hits it super solid and carries it. So, but even if he does hit a good drive, right, he's the only player here that can carry all these bunkers. And this is a guy that carries at 300 yards. So the player that carries at 270, which is mostly, most good juniors and collegiate players, low handicap players, that puts him right in the middle of the bunker. And there's no reason he would try and aim left of this bunker because there's literally no room over there. It brings the hazard on the left into play, it brings a bunker into play. So really his only option is to come way over here to the right and leave himself 152 yards into the middle of the green. There's no option. And then the player that hits a 240 carry, he can aim pretty much anywhere he wants. Obviously, it opens up a lot back here. And just hit something about 240 yards, just short of that bunker. And he's only got 158 yards into the green. So there's really no advantage to hitting a driver 270 or a 3-wood 270 down the right side and having 158 with a bad angle when you could hit something 240 yards right in front of that bunker and have 158 with a good angle. Or sorry, hitting it to the right will leave you 152 with a bad angle versus 158 with a good angle. It just takes all the strategy out of the hole. So making this hole longer by however many yards they did is just not, it just doesn't make it a better hole. So that's the first example. If you guys like these, let me know. I will do a couple more. There's a couple more holes I might add going forward. But I wanted to keep this video pretty short. So that's it for today. Let me know your thoughts.